So let us Magica Reserata, part 6. Of the orders of wicked demons and their full and their divine natures. These wicked demons are divided into orders as the good angels are divided into orders or hierarchies. 1. Pseudothei. The first order of demons are called pseudothei, or false gods, who usurp God's name, would be worshipped as gods, have adoration and sacrifice made to them, as that demon said to Christ, "If thou wilt fall down and worship me, we shall all be thine." And the prince of these demons is Beelzebub, that is an old god. He said, "I shall ascend above the height of the clouds and be like the Most High." 2. Spiritus Menaciorum. After these follow the spirits of lying, of which kind was that he was a lying spirit in the mouths of Ahab's prophets, and their prince is that spirit Python, from whom Apollo Pythius was called, and that Pythonic woman with Samuel, and that other woman in the Gospels that had a python in her belly. This kind of demon deceives by their oracles, divinations, and predictions. Vasa iniquatis. In this order are the vessels of iniquity, which are called the vessels of anger. These are the inventors of mischief and of all wicked arts. Plato mentions one of these wicked demons that was called Theutus, who taught plays, dice, and cards. From these proceed all wickedness, malice, and deformity. In Genesis, Japheth calls Simeon and Levi vessels of iniquity. In their dwellings with the psalmist, vessels of death. Isaiah called them vessels of fury, and Jeremiah vessels of anger, and Ezekiel vessels of killing and destruction, and the prince of them is Belial, which is interpreted without a yoke, or disobedient, a prevaricator, and an apostate, of whom Paul saith into the Corinthians, "What a convention of Christ with Belial." 4. Ultoles Scelorum. The revengers of wickedness, and their prince is Asmodeus, that is doing judgment. 5. Prestigiatores. The prestigiators come from the fifth order, who imitate miracles, and serve the Keiko magi and malefics, and seduce people in their miracles as the serpent seduced Eve, and their prince is Satan, who seduces the whole world. 6. Aerea potestates. The aerial powers offer themselves into the sixth order, who mix themselves with thunders and lightnings, corrupting the air, bringing pestilence and other evils, of which number are the 4 angels in the Apocalypse, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and sea, holding the 4 winds from the 4 corners of the earth, and their prince is called Merizim. This is a south demon, a raging and furious demon in the south, whom Paul calls in the Ephesians a prince of the power of the air, and a spirit which works in the children of disobedience. 7. Furiae. The 7th mansion the Furies hold, the sowers of mischief and discord, wars and destructions, whose prince in the Apocalypse is called in Greek Apollyon, in Hebrew Abaddon, that is destroying and laying waste. 8. Criminatores. In the 8th place stand the criminators or accusers, whose prince is Astaroth, that is an explorator in Greek. He is called Diabolos, that is a criminator or calumniator, who in the Apocalypse is called an accuser of the brethren day and night before the face of God. 9. datores malignini. The last placed hold the tempters, who we call the bad genii, and their prince is Mammon, who is interpreted covetousness. But these bad demons do unanimously infect this lower world, and therefore are called diaboli. And it is an opinion that these apostate angels or devils shall persuade very many angels to decline with him, who are now called his angels. But Saint Basil thinks not that they are all condemned and purposely wicked, but that they should be appointed from the beginning to be the carnificina for souls offending. Other divines say that no demons were created wicked, but were cast down from the heavens from the order of good angels, for their prevarication, as all Hebrew divines, Assyrian, Arabian, Egyptian do confirm. Fererides the Syrian describes the fall of demons, and Ofin, that is a serpent demoniac that was the head of the rebellious army. But those demons thrown down into this valley of misery, being near us, do wander up and down in this dark air. Other inhabit lakes, rivers, and earthly things, and invite the diggers of wells and metals. They provoke the gapings of the earth and shake the foundations of mountains. Neither do they vex men only, but living creatures, others sometimes putting on a gigantic body very tall, and then appear very small like pygmies, turning themselves into diverse figures, trouble men with vain terror. Others study lies and blasphemies, as in Kings 3:22. I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all Ahab's prophets. But the worst sort of demons are those who molest men in their journeys, rushing upon them that pass along, rejoice in wars and effusion of blood, and afflict men with sore insults. In the Psalms they are called asps, basilisks, lions, dragons. In the Gospel called scorpion and mammon. The prince of this world and rector of darkness, whose prince is Beelzebub. Porphyry calls him Serapis, and the Greek Pluto. Origen pleaded for the demon's admission into favor. Many of the lapsed angels may hope to be saved and bring this argument out of the gospel, that Christ heard the prayers of demons and suffered them to go into the herd of swine. Psalm 72:9. The Ethiopian shall fall down before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. But according to the Hebrews, verily it runs thus: before him the inhabitants of solitude shall bend their knees. That is, the aerial spirits shall worship him, as the Kabbalists do assert, and his enemies shall lick the dust, which they expound of Zazel and his army, of whom it is read in Genesis, Thou shalt eat dust all the days of thy life. Hence the Kabbalist thinks that some demons may be saved, and it was the opinion of Origen. Of the bodies of demons, there are great differences among divines and philosophers. St. Thomas Aquinas affirms that all the angels as well as wicked demons are incorporeal, but sometimes they assume bodies which they presently put off. Dionysius in his Divine Names affirms that the angels are without bodies. St. Augustine upon Genesis saith that demons are said to be airy as well as fiery animals. Neither are they loosed by death, because there prevails in the element to act rather than to suffer, and further saith that all angels from the beginning of their creation had aerial bodies formed from the pure and more superior part of the air, fit for action, not passion, and these bodies were preserved after confirmation by the good angels. But he had angels were changed into the quality of grosser air, that they might suffer by fire. The great Basil doth not only attribute bodies to demons, but also to pure angels, as certain small aerial and pure spirits, and Gregory Nazianzen agrees to this, also Apuleius, that all demons have bodies, as you may read of Socrates the daemon. Cellus the Platonic and Christian held that demons by nature could not be without a body, as bodies of shadow and subject to passion, as if smitten should be more sorrowful, and if burned should turn to ashes, which was proved true in Tuscia. According to the mixture of the elements among themselves, so are there different kinds of the bodies of demons, which will require a large discourse in all objections to the contrary are unanswered. Divines are the opinion that all wicked demons are of that nature, that they equally hate God as well as man. But divine providence had ordered good demons more pure and near to watch over us and daily help us, and that they may drive away and bind those bad demons, that they may not hurt us as they would do. You may read in the Tobit of Raphael that bound Asmodeus, a demon, in the desert of the Upper Egypt. Malleus Maleficarum telleth of a woman, a sorceress, who affirmed obstinately before the commissioners that she could go and come bodily whither she list, in short space, though she were never so fast imprisoned, and the way never so far off that for trial they presently caused her to be shut up in a chamber, and willed her to go to a certain house, and to learn what was there done, and to bring them relation thereof, the which she promised to do after she had remained a while alone. The commissioner caused the door to be suddenly opened, and entering the chamber found her lying stretched out on the ground as if dead. One of them, curious to prove whether she had any fooling or no, took a candle with the flame thereof, scorched off her legs, but seeing no sign of motion in her, he left her, and departing out of the chamber caused the door to be fast locked again. Presently upon, when she came forth, telling the commissioners that she had gone and come with great travail, declaring unto them the marks and token of all such thing as they asked, obstinately maintaining that she had been present and viewed the same with her eyes, whereupon they asked her if she felt no grief in one of her legs. She answered that since her coming back it grieved her very sore. Then laid they before her that grossness of the error wherewith she was abused, and told her they had done unto her in manner as before, which she truly perceiving fell down upon her knees, and crave pardon upon promise of her repentance and amendment in her life. Lucius Apuleius and Grimaldus declare how sorcery or witches are able to change not only their own but other men's shape also, as Circe and Medea did. This partly through natural magic, that is the knowledge of the virtue of herbs and stones, oils and ointments, whose properties are by the devils revealed unto them, and partly through the mere help of the devil employing therein by his whole power for the better binding and assuring them to be perpetually his. Some further considerations, distinctions, and dignifications of this subject touching spirits. The bodies of evil angels are far different in quality from the bodies of good angels, for by reason of their fall, their bodies are changed into the quality of a now thick and condensed air, and are in manner and material as shadows, as subject to passion, that being struck are pained, and may be burnt in the fire into conspicuous ashes. And though it be a spiritual body, yet is most yet sensible, and being touched suffers, although it be cast in sunder, yet it comes together again, as air and water, but in the meantime it is much pained. These spirits are neither altogether visible nor invisible, and sometimes being conspicuous, are formed into diverse similitudes and shadow and bloodless images, drawing the filthiness of a gross body, and by reason of their affinity with earth and water, are also taken with terrestrial pleasures and lusts, of which such are hobgoblins, incubus and succubus, etc. There is none of these supposed to be male or female, seeing this difference of sex belongs to compounds, but their bodies are simple, neither can any of them turn themselves into all shape at their pleasure, except those that are fiery and airy. Unto those kinds is easier to change themselves into what shapes their imagination conceives. As for subterranean dark spirits, because their nature is concluded in the straits of a thick and unactive body, they cannot make those diversity of shapes as others can. But watery spirits and such as dwell upon the moist superficies of the earth, by reason of the moistness of the element, are for the most like unto women, of which kind are the fairies of the rivers and the nymphs of the woods. Those spirits which inhabit dry places, being of drier bodies, show themselves in forms of men. Such are those which are called onoscoli or satyrs, with asses' legs, or fauni and incubi, of which that they were many, as in certainly and by experience known, and that oftentimes some of them did desire, and made compact with women to lie with them, etc. There are also certain kind of spirits, not so noxious, offensive, hurtful, noisome, or displeasing, but most near to men, and are affected with human passions, delighting much in man's society, and do willingly dwell with him. Some also there are, which often meet poor men, women, and children, but they are afraid of, and fly from men of constant credulous and undaunted mind and resolutions. And to good and pure men they are no way offensive, but to men that are wicked and impure they are noxious and hurtful. Some likewise there are who dote upon women, some upon children, some there be that are delighted in the company of diverse domestic and evil animals. Some inhabit woods and parks, some dwell about fountains and meadows, cum multis alis, but for brevity's sake we have inserted the necessary table following, describing briefly the names of these kinds of terrestrial spirits, fairies, elves, goblins, or whatsoever they might be called, together with what places and things they do inhabit, delight and dwell in. Fairies, hobgoblins, and elves in champion fields, naiads in fountains, potamids in rivers, nymphs in marshes and ponds, oreads in mountains, hamidis meadows, dryads and hamadryads in woods, satyrs and sylvani trees, brakes and bushes, napta and agapta in flowers, Dodona in acorns and in fruits, Palea and Fenillae, fodder and the country. There are likewise certain things vulgarly called Nomi, or inhabitants of the mountains, but some improbably sylph, or pygmies, or half men. We say improbably by reason that some credible testimonials do make this distinction, calling the Nomi spirits of the earth, Sylphi spirits of the air, Salamanderi spirits of the fire, and Nymphi spirits of the water. Those with Nomi are not properly said to be spirits, but like spirits, and if we shall call them spirit, then they ought to be called earthly spirits, because they have their habitation in mines and such like places, and where treasures and other things are hid and obscured or lost under the earth, or rather in the bowels thereof, and also under those mountains when there is plenty of gold and silver, and other such like places, minerals and things, conducting to the same place and purpose, wherefore they are said to be possessed with all temporal things, and are much delighted therewith, and do take care and custody thereof, and will not willingly depart therefrom. Those who work in mines, dig metals, have great knowledge of those spirits, for sometimes they do trouble, molest, vex, and much persecute the laborious diggers with blows and stripes, and at other times they are benevolent and friendly to them, and will work for wages, and at other times admonishing them and warning them of dangers and death, as well as they are heard once, twice, thrice, or often to knock or strike in the same place, which foretells the death of him that diggeth or laboureth there, if he has not the sooner away thence, for either he be buried by the fall of the mountain, and perisheth by some of other the like accident. All which is said to be true, as had been certainly attested by the experience and knowledge of them that do dig in mines and search in the bowels of the earth, for such of nature's benignities as it followeth. Those sylphs or pygmies, although they are little by nature, yet they can appear as big and great, or in what other statue or corporature they please unto men, and either fair, deform, rich, or poor to our imagination. They are knowing in all arts that are or can be found out, in all the light of nature, and contain the knowledge and understanding of them all within themselves. It is said that they, as well as the Nomi, have many mines and all sorts of metals, and a great store of treasures hid in the earth, and under their power and custody, and many times they do afford great benefit to mankind, etc. The nature of those spirits or elves is they are affected with and love all that love them, and hate all those that hate them. Yea, they know both our minds and our thoughts in great measure, whereby it comes to pass that we may easily move them to come to us, if we rightly understand the rules thereof. Of this terrestrial order are likewise those which are commonly called fairies, of which there are so even sisters thus nominated: Lilia, Resilia, Foca, Tolla, Africa with two F's, Julia, and Venulla. It is credibly asserted that in ancient times that many of those aforesaid gnomes, fairies, elves, and other terrestrial wandering spirits have been seen and heard amongst men, but now it is said to believed that they are not so frequent, yet is certainly averred and creditably reported that some of them have been discovered and seen, but here we shall acquiesce touching the differences of their not appearing, or being not so conversant with and amongst men, so frequently in latter times, as they are said usually to do in ancient times. By reason the cause thereof they may be very easily conjectured by the meanest capacity. So, this was the end of part 6. And I don't know what manuscript will follow after. But I love you all. Have a magical, magical day. Bye for now.